Test, test.
Yeah, make sure your microphones are on. They're on. All right. Welcome, everyone, to our Monday, May the 22nd, 2023 Business Board meeting. I call the meeting to order. Mr. Bertram, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Scheibert?
Here.
Sorry, Mrs. Stewart?
Here.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Here.
Dr. Urso?
Here. Could you please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? If there are none, then Mr. Bertram?
Mrs. Scheibert?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right, that brings us to tonight's consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, highlights? I know we like to highlight some of the financial pieces, donations. I noticed that there's one monetary donation for Amanda Elementary Library by PEO Sisterhood Chapter, right?
Yep.
Any other items within the consent agenda that needs to be?
I will mention that I put in a certificate of estimated resources, kind of updated that before our final next month, and also a few changes on the appropriations for the year. Most of it was due to receiving additional grant dollars.
Okay.
Ms. Scheibert, you had mentioned that you had a couple questions or on the Algebra 2
Right.
alternative classes?
Right.
Okay, so we have two classes that you're going to see on the consent agenda tonight. Both of these classes are designed for our high school students as an alternative to Algebra 2 at the high school. You see Data Science Foundations, which that's a lot of data analysis, correlation, probability. The contract that you see on the consent agenda is for the training and the pilot of the teacher. One of our current math teachers, Kyle Etter, will be taking on that responsibility next year, so that's his training over the summer. The contract also outlines the expectations for the school to participate in the Data Science Foundations.
Okay.
That's one, and then we have a second, same scenario. This class is Mathematical Modeling and Reasoning, which is an Algebra 2 equivalent course also. This is more reasoning, problem solving, modeling. Zach Shorten will be teaching this class. He's a current math teacher, and this is the same type of contract. It's for their training and the expectations for the district.
Thank you.
Notice that there's a CPR and first aid course that looks to be for our high school students over the summer in May and June. Do you know approximately how many students will be involved in that?
Right now, we're thinking about 25, right? And that's, they will end that class with their certificates. It'll be $30 per student. And that's our ESSER funds. They'll be covering the funds for the CPR certification.
Great.
Will we be able to continue that after we aren't using ESSER money?
Hopefully so. That's all on the sustainability, as we look at sustainability and what
Right.
we can continue.
Okay.
Yep.
Is this a state requirement?
Now,
Still good.
Very good. I'll pause unless is there anything else? Ms. Stewart, Ms. Scheibert?
Am I going past the consent agenda, the Soulbirds trauma
Nope.
response?
That's still in there.
Could you give us a little explanation of that?
sure, Soulbirds is an organization that's been working with, well, currently they work with Miller Ridge. This Soulbirds will be providing the trauma-informed PD that we're going to have for all staff coming up in August, so that the contract you see for Soulbird is on the agenda tonight.
Have we used them in the past?
We have there at Miller Ridge.
There.
Okay.
They do a fine job, yep.
That was a new name to me. I probably saw it, but I didn't remember it. Okay.
All right, then Mr. Bertram.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Scheibert?
Yes.
Under Human Resources, we get the opportunity to approve the MCEA collective bargaining agreement that would span from July 1st to 23 to June 30th to 26. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions regarding this?
Motion?
Oh,
Who's
I'm
it?
sorry, I made the motion.
Thank you.
No comments, no questions yet?
Thank you
All
for
right.
your work on it.
Yeah, that was.
I'll just make a comment that,
Yes.
working with the MCE staff, they always, we work well together, as we did with MTA this year as well. MCEA came in with more items than I've ever seen, definitely. A lot more concerns, I guess, coming out of COVID. But we were able to work through those in 2 sessions, and it's nice. I mean, it's really nice that we can handle it quickly and conveniently for all parties.
It's obvious we're all on the same team with MCEA, same with MTA. But with MCEA, it was a very positive, wrapped up pretty quickly. All items that were negotiated are definitely in the best interest of our MCEA members.
Awesome.
I think we're ready to vote, Mr. Bertram.
All right. Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
And Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Motion carries. And again, I want to congratulate both our district employees that worked on one side of that table and the MCEA employees that do a lot for our district. I get a variety of comments on how well our high school grounds look and the impact that the services in the classroom and how clean our buildings are. And there are a lot of folks who aren't always raised up in the ways that they should be, that hopefully this contract shows that we do appreciate them, we do notice them, and they're invaluable to our schools and being able to function at full force. And so thank you to Mr. Edwards, others who are a part of that team that negotiated this, and to the employees that are under this contract. We hope that you understand that, yeah, this is a sign of our appreciation for the work that you do. It looks like we have one other item that Mr. Edwards brought in front of us tonight. It is an approval of a cost of living increase for non-represented staff. Is there a motion for approval?
So,
moved.
second.
In a second. Any questions or comments regarding this? Nope. If there are none, then Mr. Bertram.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Again, a group of staff that does a lot for our district and for our buildings. It's nice to get all these contracts settled, and so we appreciate the work that's gone into this. Under curriculum and instruction, we get the exciting ability tonight to approve the graduation list for 2023. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
In a second, please.
Second.
All right. Anybody that we want to strike from this list tonight? No? Then Mr. Bertram, I think we're ready to vote.
All right. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
And Dr. Urso?
Yes. I know at the end, I was going to congratulate our 2023 graduates. We were able to attend the ceremony the other night, but now's the appropriate time to say the same. It was nice, shaking a lot of hands across the stage, a lot of young folks that have a lot of exciting days ahead. And to see them and their families kind of celebrate that evening, a lot of hard work. And speaking to the principal, a vast majority, a huge majority of our high school seniors had the ability to graduate, which is an exciting thing for us. It's our job, is to get them to that stage, and it's exciting to see that so many of them were able to get there. Anybody want to add anything? I don't want to take the stage here. If there's anything to add, just.
Very solid endorsement of the change of date. It made a huge
Oh,
difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful night, wasn't it? Yes.
Perfect
Right
night.
decision.
Yeah, I was glad it rained a little bit Tuesday night. I was very pleased to see the shower. And so,
Validated that decision.
Yeah. And so it was good to see that Mother Nature helped out.
So I would like to highlight, we did have 47 summa cum laude students. That means 4.0 and above. So that's
How many
quite
was that?
impressive. 47.
47.
Yep,
That's a good
35 honors diplomas. We had over 2.2 million in scholarships and awards, and they're still coming in, so that's a lot of money. 67 earned Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seals, and 2 are going off to the military. So, yeah, so lots of students quite accomplished, very proud of them.
It's a solid class.
Yep, and
Very
that's senior
solid
class.
That brings us to district committee reports. Any committees from our last meeting to now meet and have things to report?
Oh, yes, the policy committee, we have only a few more to look at, don't we? We have one more meeting planned, then we'll be up to date.
One more, we should be caught up, yes.
And I believe for the community center committee, I believe we meet the first Thursday, and so our meeting's right around the corner.
We have both meetings, policy will be June 1st, and then the community center as well, a few hours later.
Good, good. All right, that brings us to Board of Reports, and Mr. Moore, anything to report?
Once again, just want to say congratulations to all of our graduates. Wish you the very best of luck in all that you do. And also to our teachers and staff, enjoy your summer. That starts now. I know that many folks will be also probably taking some additional coursework over the summer, but try to get a moment to yourself. Enjoy the summer. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Scheibert?
I just want to have a comment about graduation. It was beautiful, of course, but I'm always amazed at when I look out at that audience of students. And, you know, Middletown is just a tiny little place that's kind of, by some people, not even recognized. We're not even on some weather maps anymore when they do the evening reports. But when we look at that audience and see the variety of faces in that audience, it's an amazing little microcosm of people that I think communities around us would be very surprised. Just a beautiful mix of people in that class, and always. But it just struck me this year. You know, I guess I see it over and over, but I think it makes me proud. It makes me very proud, in addition to all those diplomas and some really, you know, you look at those kids and they're just on the brink of so much, and it's an exciting night. It's a very exciting night. That's all.
Yep. I'll just ditto what Anita said. It was a really nice night. The weather was perfect. It was perfectly executed and organized, and kudos to Miss Principal Carter. She did a great job, and staff, and the students they were amazing and beautiful and just well behaved, and it was a good night.
Thank you. Ms. Mulligan, anything to report
Well, we
tonight?
had the same thing and a ditto, and I'll ditto the ditto. I know why the articulate people spoke ahead of me, and now I know why I cry at the beginning of Pomp and Circumstance every year, because it's a very moving experience to think of kids and their future. So that's it for me.
Thank you. It was kind of bittersweet graduation. I noticed, like, my son's a year away, and it was very surreal seeing a lot of his friends getting to shake their hands as they crossed the stage. Thank you to Ms. Cotter. She always does a really nice job organizing that event. And I know there's a lot of folks, Mr. Burkhart, the guy with the sound. Donzel had me moving the podium this year. I recommend the smaller podium for next year. And just how the whole event is arranged. It's done really, really well. It really does highlight what a special place Middletown is. And I echo what you say. There's a lot of communities our families could choose to live in where I could send my children, and I am undoubtedly thankful that this is our home, and the teachers and the school experiences that our kids have are unparalleled. Want to congratulate our spring athletes. Tomorrow night they have the award banquet. Joe Kirby on the baseball team, I think he broke the strikeout record for Middletown High School on his career. He's a pitcher. He's had just a really storied career from Middletown High School in baseball. His grandfather helped build the baseball field across the street. And so just a really neat family, and he's a neat young man. And the scholarship ceremony that was at the high school a week or so ago, my days are blending together. It was nice to see a lot of Middletown graduates come back into our high school and give back to our students. Mr. Ginter from Ohio State and Columbus drives down, and there are folks from the Greek organizations, from new scholarships, all kinds of different people who have an affinity for this community and for this school that have given back. I'd like to say thanks to each of them. And our graduation speakers this year. It's nice to see our young folks get on the stage and really do what they do well, communicate better than adults do many times in a way that just shows what kind of talent they have. So that's it. Mr. Bertram, anything to share
Well,
tonight?
First thing I have on my list is how impressed I was with the student speakers. Not only did they have the courage to get up there in front of so many, such a big crowd, but you could definitely hear and see their leadership by presenting to their peers. Just very proud of them for doing that. I think this is either my 23rd or 24th graduation that I've attended as a school treasurer. And I will tell the Middletown class of 2023, they were the best behaved out of all of them. They were tremendous as far as I could see or hear. So very proud of them for being there. And the thing that graduation always reminds me of, it's our purpose. It's our product. It's what we're here for. And it's very proud to see so many kids walk across that stage, earn their diploma, and it really gives me a sense of pride knowing that very small part of what I did was a part of that, along with my team and all our other coworkers. And I'm reminded every year, and I love to keep going.
Thank you. Ms. Hauser?
Okay, today was the first day of PD week for our teachers. So, Mr. Moore, you were talking about rest and relaxation. Well, most of them are attending PD this week at some point in time. We have quite a variety of offerings for just about everyone with professional development this week. But one that I'd like to shout out, which is near and dear, I know, in my heart, in Ms. Stewart's heart, and Ms. Mulligan's heart, is we revived the preschool kindergarten collaborative today, which is part of the Success by Six committee, which we have not had that collaborative since 2018, pre-COVID, and a few years, but that had been going for a few years. And really what that is, it's Butler County preschool teachers working together with our kindergarten teachers and having discussions on how to best transition preschool students into kindergarten. But really what it was just very heartwarming to see that back up and running again. I know we've spent a lot of time talking about it with people changing over, and you know, also too, a lot of times when you lose the momentum and you don't do something year after year, it's hard to kick it back up. Mm-hmm. And yeah, really, in Butler County, dynamite host. We had about 15 of our kindergarten teachers there, and they probably had about 15 of the preschool teachers there. So, yeah, so that's a celebration.
Awesome. We want to thank the Community Foundation for helping us make that possible by supporting us through by way of a grant, so that we could make that happen.
To pull that off, yeah. So it was a great partnership, great day. We have PD Tuesday through Friday this week, so yeah, teachers are still learning.
If there's nothing else, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Have a good evening.
Here we go.